Now, both teams being 2-1, this will be the game that decides the advantage in the standings for them. So they will have to, will be a hard-fought game on both ends. Some familiar bans coming out. We do actually see more Soraka ban attention in this week of the LCS, or I mean of the LJL. We did see that Soraka kind of picked up popularity on in other regions, so possibly a response to that. We do see that Set is locked in again for Nap in the top lane. Misfortune most likely going to be the response from Sengoku Gaming, and a very traditional sort of trade-off, a little bit of a handshake of picks that is often seen. Interesting choice slightly from Sengoku, and that we have seen so far, is the Aphelios ban when this pick, when this play route is sort of taken. Often opting for the Misfortune instead of Aphelios when you're from the side of Sengoku, and they do lock themselves in the LeBlanc for Pyrian. And this is actually an interesting matchup because we do know that both Pyrian and Arya are very big fans of LeBlanc. We do see Lee Sin locked in once again for Yoshi. Lee Sin still looking to find a lot of success in these games. We've seen him go for 3 in these games so far, but hasn't had the most amount of success. Yoshi did have a little bit of a better showing in the last game, so we'll have to see if he's able to match that performance in this game, as well as Senna locked in for Gengo in the bot lane. It does look like Blank will be on Rek'Sai in the jungle. Jarvan's still available, and is typically a popular pick, but does opt for the Rek'Sai, does opt for the scrapping potential with the Lee in the jungle. And now Sengoku is able to pinch away some of the mid laners from Arya. Mid lane will definitely be the area of this match to be looking at. Some very strong mid laners on both sides, or just very dominant mid laners, and some very capable ones on both teams here. So we'll have to see how they end up playing it around. The mid 2v2s will also be very strong with both Lee and Rek'Sai available. A lot of action could be thrown towards that mid lane, and it can get ugly very quickly. Lysandra ban actually coming out from the side of Sengoku Gaming. An interesting ban, but doesn't want to give Arya that defensive option. Little bit of a statement from the side of Sengoku is say, well, at the very least, you're not going to be able to play too defensively. And Yorick ban, a little bit of respect towards Opperman, who we did actually see on the Yorick earlier today. Did play the Yorick into the set, did enjoy that, did have that counter pick, and did seem to be quite proficient in it. So possibly a pick that Opperman was practicing in his free time. We do see the Nautilus locked in for the side of Sengoku Gaming. Braum still available for Crest Gaming Act if they so choose. Flicking between a few supports here. Both supports that we seldom see on the Rift. Pyke a little bit more rare even. Hovering the TK, and that is going to be Tom Kench locked in for Crest Gaming Act. A very safe lane from Crest Gaming Act between the Senna and the TK. A lot of sustain in that lane, and can be very difficult for Sengoku to try and engage on that. And Crest Gaming Act actually picks up the Vladimir for the mid lane. Now, the Vladimir is interesting, and is a little bit of a weaker early pick, so it does mean that the mid 2v2 domination, or mid 2v2 fights will be dominated by Sengoku Gaming. But the Vlad does have the scaling potential. You do have scaling potential in both Senna and the Vladimir. While Sengoku Gaming does pick up the Kayle to answer the set in the top lane. And now we do have a very high damage comp on the side of Sengoku Gaming, while Crest Gaming Act, they do have a lot of options available to themselves. They have a decent front line between the set, the TK, and the potential lead. And a lot of healing available for Crest Gaming Act. You do have, and a lot of like defensive tools. Engage on the side of Crest Gaming Act will, of course, fall to the jungle. In this scenario, just because they do have the execution test will be on the Lee Sin here to try and get these engages off. But we do see that on the side of Sengoku Gaming do have a lot of damage and will potentially have the early game available to them, although the jungle is really what's going to help decide that. LeBlanc will be able to bully out the Vladimir slightly in lane, but if either jungler gets ahead here, that can be huge for both teams. If Lee Sin is able to get ahead in this position, is able to just use that early game advantage to allow his team to get to that late game, get their items, get their levels. While on the side of Sengoku Gaming, if the Rek'Sai is able to get ahead, you're able to bully out the Lee Sin and keep him away from your other lanes that want to try to stress their early game dominance. Of course, the opposite is actually true for top lane in this matchup. You do have Sengoku Gaming's Kale in the top side. We'll just be happy to try and farm it out against the set in the top lane. As we now load into the last game here, you can see, does it look like Yoshi will be starting on his red side for this one, switching up. Both junglers will be starting opposite side. Yoshi does want to kind of immediately start pressuring that Kale in the top side, and that is actually going to be a little bit of a linchpin for Yoshi. If he does have a little bit of if he does get some success going in that top side of the map, then Nap has the potential to start moving his advantage downward, and it does give Yoshi that little bit of gold that he can use to start snowballing it into the other lanes. As we look across here, we see fairly familiar runes from all sides. Mid lane has the potential to be rather volatile, but a little bit of early damage from Gengo, just landing some free poke. Don't want to give too much of that over, as don't want Senna to scale off of her souls too quickly. But it does look like Blank is going to opt for a full clear here, while Yoshi immediately crossing over to his blue buff, trying to find his fastest way to 3 and fastest way to pressuring Opperman in that top lane. Opperman already might have found the poor end of a trade. You can already see him at half HP in that top side. And Yoshi, you can actually see the level 2 coming out, immediately going to pressure. Already been seen, so has to kind of back away. Doesn't even opt to wait till level 3 to try and get anything off, while Blank will find himself hitting level 3 and moving towards his blue side. Now, Blank with the read on Lee after seeing him up there with only 2 camps and both buffs. He has the ability to take away some of Yoshi's camps here, and this is kind of the risk you run in Yoshi's position, where if you do show early on the jungle like that, you are risking some sacrifice. And Pyrian, finding a lot of chunk onto Arya very early on, is burning through a lot of his mana to do it, but that is sort of the nature of the early parts of this matchup. Arya on the Vladimir does not have the strength to try and contest LeBlanc for quite some time, so Pyrian finding multiple electrocute procs onto Arya here. Yoshi will secure himself a crab and is immediately trying to look back onto this top side. Is going to get spotted out on the ward, but possibly could be setting up a dive here from Crest Gaming Act. Does have flash available to him, and the TP is coming out from Period into that top side to try and just stave away. Doesn't have a back yet, so doesn't lose too much off of it. But commits his teleport there just to deny that early dive. You need to give Kale that time to hit 6 before she's quite safe enough in lane. And looks like CGA's bottom lane is going to sniff out the gank from Blank on that bottom lane. Lane in a decent state for the side of Crest Gaming Act. Don't have to worry about it being engaged too hard now. You do have Yoshi returning to the bottom side of the map here. Ooh, Gango being a little bit aggressive there. Could have risked getting hooked after that tongue lash hit. Wants to try to push up for those souls. And now it looks like Crest Gaming Act might be trying to set up some vision for this early Infernal Drake. Don't think they'll be opting for anything just yet. Yoshi's still level 3, so does have to worry about keeping levels as Blank is once again full clearing, trying to work his way towards that Infernal Drake. And Period, you can see continuing his aggressive nature on the mid lane here. And you can see in where the gold was split, Vladimir buying the early Kindle gem is going to actually be very beneficial. You do get the CDR just to keep the spells up in lane. When the chain is going to land, Blank is going to try to go in, see what he can do. Arya has to be careful. Knows he can't answer too hard because Blank still does have flash available. The flash knock up time, that time in and of itself could be enough to knock down Vladimir if he is not careful. Although fairly defensive so far from both sides, Blank is having Blank with the major gold advantage and XP advantage right now. Possibly could be looking to leverage that in different areas. We'll have to actually see how Crest Gaming Act decides to act here. Now, Yoshi is going to be opting to solo the Drake here, but Blank looks like he's onto him. He's wandering into this side of the map. Teleports coming out from Crest Gaming Act. Blank is finding himself on the wrong end of this one. Nap immediately ulting Blank in. Blank is forced to flash away. Will be able to eat out as Nap does flash to try and chase, but that is going to mean that the Drake is going to go over to Crest Gaming Act as Blank is not able to contest post his health loss and burning a flash there. You do see Arya teleporting to the top lane, trying to pick up that CS in response to Nap's teleport. But an Infernal Drake picked up for the side of Crest Gaming Act. An unfortunate loss from, if you are Sengoku Gaming here, you don't want to give up that Drake for just anything. You do get 2 teleport cooldowns out of it though. And with Sengoku Gaming having to burn their teleport early to stave off the dive attempt, does seem that they will have their teleports first, but Crest Gaming Act willing to expend those teleports for that Infernal Drake. And now Sengoku encroaching onto this blue side, taking away some of the farm on this side. Could possibly be looking at that Rift Herald very soon. With a decent amount of vision to track where Yoshi goes once he gets towards that blue side, they'll know about their potential momentarily. Now looking at the CS across all, oh, excuse me, as Yatori Mayashi is just ulting, most likely just to clear the wave, wants to just clear that, get a good back off of it. When you do have the Tahm Kench in support, you're not exactly too threatened. You're not exactly too threatened by, you're not too exactly threatened of a re-engage off of it. You are immobile while you let the bullet time fly, but not too worried about the force as Blank is finding himself onto Yoshi. Yoshi immediately forced to flash away. Blank decides not to commit the Void Rush here, doesn't want to commit all in on that ult to try and get that kill. Will just walk back, try to grab himself the Rift Herald, and then it's going to be Yoshi forced to back away from that side of the map. Still struggling to hit 6 in this game. It's a little bit difficult for the side of Crest Gaming Act. And with Opperman already ranged in that top lane, the period of major danger is over for Opperman. Now he grabs him, as now Blank grabs himself the Rift Herald and is looking top with it, wants to kind of accelerate Kale towards those items, the faster the better. And actually also knowing that Yoshi is going to be on the bottom side of the map after that back, gives Opperman time to just get some free gold in, finding some poke here and there. And it does actually look like Nap is going to engage. Well, Blank actually already completed the back, but Opperman, not in too big of a threat, does have ult available to him if he so needs it. Does get the turret gold from the plates as the charge comes through. But other than that, no real threat open to Opperman at the moment. Crest Gaming Act looking around in the blue side. No farm available for Yoshi just yet, so he is able to look for that, but he does have a 2-level disadvantage. And now in this top lane, Opperman does have to slightly be careful. Flash is coming off cooldown for Nap, but he does not have the HP to deal with Set just yet. Trying to shove these lanes in, trying to get a back off, not wanting to leave the lane in a position where Nap is able to freeze and hold the lane against him. But we will see how this one decides to play out. Blue buff going over to Pyrion. It's going to be a poor show for Arya, as now the poke is going to be relentless, but the Abyssal Voyage comes in. Yoshi looking for an engage, but Sengoku Gaming one step ahead and going to be able to get out of that one. NT still not level 6, by the way. Has just not been able to secure as much experience. You do see the level 8 on the Misfortune, just from the amount of solo XP that was given over. And now Pyrion going for a little bit more harass onto Arya here. Loading up on that CDR, the Vlad just trying to survive through this lane. Pyrion doing everything he can to just try and make it as painful as possible for the Vladimir. You can see Blank already looking again for the invade. No flash available for Yoshi. This could be first blood over as a Void Rush comes through, and that is going to be able to knock him down. Not going to be able to dodge that anymore. And Blank actually finding the ult onto Yoshi will mean first blood handed over to the jungler. And the hook from NT from downtown is going to lock up and knock down Arya. The just repeated amount of just poking and prodding from Pyrion is just going to get him slowly low enough that when NT comes around for the gank and Blank is ready with the assist, Pyrion is able to find his first blood on, or his first kill onto the enemy mid. And the hard part for Arya in this situation is that the job only gets harder from here. Now that Pyrion has that taste of blood and has that kill, it's going to be a little bit harder for Arya to try and survive this lane, but Does look like Sengoku is going to be first looking towards this Drake. Mountain Drake is up and available for them. As you can see here by the gold graphs, just across the board, the gold is going in favor of Sengoku Gaming. Almost a 3K gold lead available to them right now, just from these little, just from now, these first 2 kills going over to them, as well as just slight CS leads all the way across. And this is a familiar story that we end up seeing so far. Ooh, little slick farming from Blank here. But this is a similar story that we're seeing so far, where the main gold disparities that show up come from the jungle positions. When they opt for these aggressive junglers, you can see Blank, you can see junglers like Blank, and often on these rec sides, how they're able to just keep the farm lead up and then just start bullying them out. And it can be very detrimental with the jungle EXP changes that there's no catch-up XP. So catching up to Blank at this point is going to be difficult for Yoshi, especially on a jungler that usually prides himself on being an invade jungler. And Arya might be going a little bit too deep here as Blank finds himself on the engage. Nap is coming in with the teleport, so Blank will be forced to back off. A teleport cooldown in exchange. A period looking for a quick re-engage, does commit his his ult for it, but it's not quite close enough to find damage on. Doesn't want to overcommit and risk getting R'd by Nap. But that teleport is actually going to cost them the first turret in the top lane, going over to the Kale, who's just putting up more items. They will find themselves a Mountain Drake, and does look like Sengoku is not too terribly worried about it. And now with Opperman picking up more and more gold, the one lane that they do have to worry about being the scaling lane, slowly finding its way into this game. That being said, Chris Gaming Act not too terribly far behind. Staying very close in CS. The real issue just being that Yoshi not quite able to keep up with Blank in the jungle here. As I say that, oh, an NT flashing over the wall to just make sure that Yoshi doesn't even stand a chance of flashing away. It's going to be a quick kill over to Sengoku, but Sengoku might find themselves in a bad position. Does seem that NT is going to be the sacrificial lamb as Blank is able to get out. A kill going over to Arya on the Vladimir. A little bit too deep from Sengoku Gaming is going to cost NT his life, but not exactly the first time that a support goes down for the cause. Now, the Rift is still available, and does look like Blink is just trying to test the waters, see if anyone is showing up, seeing if anyone is thinking that he's going to be on it already. You do see Grendel walking over here, trying to see if he can make sure that how many people are on it. But you do have Opperman in this bottom lane, free farming and shoving these lanes in, and Crest Gaming Act is losing a couple waves now as Sengoku just ready to take a free objective, ready to take the Rift Herald, as a second Rift Herald now going over to Sengoku Gaming. And it might be going straight towards this mid lane. Ooh, the hook narrowly missing onto Arya. ナップ選手もレベル13になったタイミングでこのソロレナ2人でバックラインのところを破壊していくという狙いはあるとは思うんですけど、今回狙われる対象は And look at the amount of just map control and pressure that Sengoku is currently able to kind of strong arm away from Crest Gaming Act. They have Opperman free farming in the bot lane, but they're just walking around the blue side jungle like they own the place. The turret is going to go down, and the Abyssal Voyage will try to get them in to just get them to back away, not capitalize off all the gold from that charge. But that isn't exactly all of the benefits that Sengoku is going for. They have Opperman continuing to farm in this bottom lane. A 200 shutdown bounty purely from the amount of gold that this Kale is able to pick up in this bottom lane. You can actually see that Although no kills on either of the on either the AD or the top laner here, Opperman is actually ahead of Yotori Mayashi in items. Just because of pure time spent nabbing these turrets, you had all the plates from the first Rift Herald charge. You knocked down the turret, then you knocked down another turret by yourself in the bottom lane. And we will see a pause come out here.
圧倒的に先行ゲーミングが視界のコントロールを取り切ってるんですね。合計で、ミッドジャングルで先行ゲーミングが60取れている。一方で視界スコアが60、はい、一方で CGA が28。
Now we do have kind of an interesting position for both sides. While on the side of Sengoku, you do have a lot of income and you do have this gold advantage. Crest Gaming Act does have the double Drakes up for them and is a little bit closer to that soul objective if they so choose. So the map control in the bottom end of the map is Crest Gaming Act does seem to be pulling it out and does seem to be trading the objectives as effectively as they can, but you have to wonder, is Sengoku's focus on this top side and just the invasiveness of this Rek'Sai on the jungle is netting them the Rift Heralds, netting them turrets, and they're opening up the map quicker than Crest Gaming Act is. And it almost feels as though Sengoku is already capable of walking around the jungle. It already feels like they're in positions where they're putting themselves in and saying, we own this. This is our area now. And Crest Gaming Act, due to the amount that Lee Sin is behind, is just not quite able to answer it. And so, without the ability to contest even your own jungle, and without the ability for Crest Gaming Act to secure all of the camps and secure the gold that they're trying to keep up with, there's plenty of members of Sengoku Gaming that are ready to eat up that free gold, especially if it means that Rek'Sai is able to secure it from their jungle, Kale and Misfortune are able to free farm it from their own. And you see here in the gold difference what that means for Crest Gaming Act and Sengoku Gaming. Gold lead now reaching almost 6,000. And you can see just the amount of shutdowns that are on Sengoku Gaming. If Crest Gaming is able to find a good fight here and able to just cash in on a lot of these shutdown golds, it can swing the gold very quickly back in their favor. Pyrian with an interesting teleport wants to get to this wave rather quickly. Not entirely sure what the rush is. You do have about 45 on the Cloud Drake, so possibly just wants to push that in as quickly as possible. Although he immediately returns to harass Arya in this bottom lane. And 2 items already completed onto Opperman. Opperman level 13 in this game. As Pyrian hangs out, seeing where anyone might be overcommitting. Does look like Crest Gaming Act is looking to make a play onto Opperman in this top side. The Abyssal Voyage is coming through. Opperman with the W speed boost is going to be able to just walk out of that one. Abyssal Voyage from Tom Kench. It's not exactly the fastest teleport, a little bit telegraphed, so Opperman may just have to back off from the turret here, while Sengoku secures themselves a turret of their own. But this does not feel like the play from Crest Gaming Act. They are trading a mid-tier 1 for a top tier 2. It does open up the potential for Baron and for calls like that. Opening up that side of the map can help them, but you do have to wonder where their priorities lie. And now that the extra gold and the extra map opens, mid lane often the hardest lane to kind of knock down. Now with that out of the way, you can continue to have Opperman just pressure out the side lane turrets. Don't have to worry about the Kale being too susceptible to being ganked when the side lane turrets are the next objective in mind for Sengoku Gaming. One thing that the committing for that top lane turret does do for the side of Crush Gaming Act is it does give Yoshi back his side of the jungle. Doesn't have to worry about trying to just cycle farm his red side anymore. Still 2 levels down on Blank. However, the lack of catch-up experience really really showing its face in this game for Yoshi. You can see here by the gold chart, just steady macro play from Sengoku Gaming is just increasing the gold here and there. Slight victories all around are just adding up, and while Crest Gaming Act doesn't seem to be finding any true victories of their own. They are finding some turrets, but it's always coming at a cost. And as I say, Sengoku, again, willing to just walk into the enemy jungle, knowing that they're stronger. They're playing this aggressive style for Vision and just making the most of it throughout this game. Opperman trying to sneak in, trying to see if he can, try and knock down any more turret. Wants that farm. Kale, always the hungry farmer. And Sengoku just keeping their vision control dominant on this side of the map towards Baron. No dragon coming up for a bit, so they do have time. They do have time to try and just focus around, see if they can pull anyone in. Yoshi immediately getting out of there, Wing and flashing to get away from the depth charge. That is going to be Yoshi's flash over, and Opperman might be finding himself in a bit of trouble here. Arya is going all in on him, and mistimes the ult slightly. Opperman commits his flash to try to get away, but the delayed damage from Arya's ult is actually going to knock down Opperman. And that is a decent chunk of gold over to Arya on the Vladimir. And that can be a scary position for Sengoku Gaming. Now that they have a taste of gold, they have a little bit of extra money in their pocket, that Vlad can get very scary very quickly. Pyrian looking for a little bit of harass onto Grendel. Doesn't want to overcommit. Knows that he does have the gray health to try and make him tanky a little bit more. And the teleport will reveal their intentions of Baron as Crest Gaming Act looks to try and get in on them. Yoshi forced to kick NT away just to survive, is not able to walk in as the bullet time flies. Nap deep into the backline in the Baron pit. The Baron going down to 20 HP and being picked up by Arya. Blank not able to stay in long enough to smite it. Actually, NT now forced to flash away over to the other side. Empyrean on the wrong side of this fight will have enough dashes to most likely not be caught out and drags Crest Gaming Act around for a bit. But that is a huge throw from Sengoku Gaming. The Baron going over to Crest Gaming Act here means that now they have their turn to be the aggressors. They have their turn to walk into Sengoku's lands and try and see what they can take for themselves. You can see the strength of Baron already as they knock down 2 turrets. Arya committing ult onto 3 targets. Sengoku Gaming in full retreat to make sure that no extra damage comes through to knock them down. Doesn't seem like Crest Gaming Act will be staying for the inhibitor. Knows that they do. Sengoku does have home guards available and can run through them. Watch this one more time. So eyes on Nap here as Nap immediately just takes Opperman straight in, flashes to get a good ult in, and Arya is on the back end of this fight trying to find his way in. Nap does way too much damage. Blank is forced to flash away over the wall before he can finish off the Baron. And that is going to be a lot of flashes down from Sengoku Gaming, as well as just a Baron lost and a very poor Baron play there. They will pick themselves up an extra Cloud Drake. Little extra ult CDR can be very nice for the Kale and for the Misfortune as well. These team fight changing ults. Even on the LeBlanc, you do have the Mimic up soon, and that can help just keep those double W's up for extra damage, keep your mobility up, as now Crest Gaming Act looks to return for this inhibitor, now having pressure in the top lane as well. Nap and Arya playing towards that side. Looks like Sengoku Gaming is rotating down to try and stave away from the inhibitor, but they will be losing the top lane turret in response. Crest Gaming Act kind of teetering and tottering their way around Sengoku. Now they have no turrets taken in the bottom side, but Crest Gaming Act looking to press the issue while they still have Baron. 30 seconds left on the Baron, and about a 4,000 gold positive in this Baron play. Now Arya continuing to pressure down the top lane turret. They grab the inhib, and Sengoku Gaming is going to need to pick a fight here very soon, as Blank is going to be engaged on. The ult comes through, but is not going to be able to save him as Pyrion goes down. NT goes golden, but is going to be the next to fall, as now Yatori Mayeshi is just being run down by the Glacial Augment on the Senna, eaten up and spit back out to avoid the turret damage. Crest Gaming Act has found their fights, found their Baron, and found their way into a victory in this game as they now chase Sengoku into their fountain. How quickly this game has turned. One poor Baron, and Sengoku finds themselves on the receiving end of just multiple turrets taken and a swift and decisive victory from Crest Gaming Act. A few hitches in the early game did lead them to somewhat of a daring position, but once they found that Baron, Crest Gaming Act was ready and willing to just take it to Sengoku. They got the Baron and they said, okay, we need to go mid, we need to start pressuring. They backed off only when they needed to, and still made use of Baron to push in for the game end. Sengoku Gaming with an unfortunate Baron play, but Crest Gaming with amazing capitalization will find them the victory in Game 4 of today. As always, I have been Dr. No. I have been your rebroadcaster and commentator for the evening. I hope you guys are enjoying week 2 of the LJL. I will be back, of course, again tomorrow at 7:30 Pacific Standard Time if you guys would like to tune in. I will be uploading these to YouTube as well, probably on Thursday, so go ahead and look out for that, as well as more games tomorrow. If you have any reviews for me, of course, my Twitter DMs are always open. If you would like to even follow for just to know when I'm going to be going live, when I'm going to be going again, it's always going to be 7:30, but I always look, you can check out on there. I'll tweet about updates to my upload schedule and things like that, of course, and there will also be streams. I will be streaming a VOD review of the TL-IMT game. But other than that, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed today's broadcast. I'm going to be Dr. No, signing off.